see it, Willie? Doing fishtailing through the farm fields with the suicide knob?
Yeah, man, hucking hay bales in the back of it. This is a true barn find, and what a gem. A 1938 Ford pickup truck.
Yeah, no, it's in great shape, but over the years, it needs a lot of work as far as the metal. We're gonna get deep into fabrication, a few projects. It's gonna be fun, so you guys stick around.
I don't know, Kev, I think people today would freak out. No GPS, no sync system, no comfort control ride, but this thing is just crazy cool. I mean, look at that grill, look at this hood. That's how you open it.
Yeah, well, I'll take it just like it is. I mean, this thing's got 1,000,000 miles of history on it. You know, it's just dripping with decades of use out on the farm, hauling corn, hauling soybeans.
Yeah, there's actually, you'll see pictures of it just buried with stuff squirrels left in the field for 30 years. So it does have some of that, you know, that wear and tear on it, if you will. Like this Fender, for example. They don't make these anymore. We actually found one that's in a little better shape. But you can see, this is where the old fuel neck was, right? The old gas tank used to be up in here, but it's rotted out. So we're gonna take a little shot at this and try to fix it up.
Yeah, the rest of the truck looks really good, but this one kind of stands out as a little bit rougher than the rest. We've got split lines and cracks, and it bolts on normally, but we've got some stitch welding just trying to keep it on there.
Yeah.
Now, as Willie said, we don't repop these, so we can't buy a Fender, but we did find one that's in a lot better shape, so at least we have a better starting point.
Exactly. And these are notorious for busting here. So we'll get this off, see what kind of damage is in this bed. You attack the new Fender, and I'll start right here. Let's get after it, man.
Come along, I'll show you the one we got. All right, well, this is our new Fender. And I kind of say that sarcastically because obviously it's got the same sort of age on it as our other one, but it's a much better starting point than the one that's on the truck right now. Now, if we look back here, we've got our back flange, and that's all in pretty good shape. So that's kind of cool. The overall condition, you know, it's lumpy and bumpy, but we can work that out. Now, we do have, you know, the filler neck hole, which I've started to clean up, and I've taken some of the rust that's worked on the edges, starting to work it back into the good metal, so we're going to work on that. And a really good technical spot is this lower corner. Now what makes this one tricky is I've got a lot of roll down here, and I've got a lot of roll here on the fender well, and what's going to get really interesting is when it comes together, how do you work that out? Now the thing about metalwork, a lot of times is figuring out, maybe you do it more than one piece. Where do I put my split lines? So with all this curvature and here fighting each other, maybe I split it up. So if I look at my flat panel, all right, and I laid that on there, it's working. This corner is really going to hang me up. So what if I split it right there in the center and along here, work the top half and a bottom half? So now I don't have to curl all the way around. I don't have to curl about halfway. I can come from this side, curl it about halfway, and I'll just stitch it right along that edge. So that'll mean as I curl the edges, I'm only fighting this side half as much as I would have, which is going to be a whole lot less work. Now, how do I get this shape in here? Well, a little bit of homemade ingenuity, and you can make dies out of just about anything. So here's a couple pieces of 1/4-inch plate. Happens to be about the right thickness. Just TIG weld it or MIG weld it or whatever you want together, and just work it out a little bit till it's got the right sort of radius under there. Well, one thing we did on this one, just kind of a good tip, if you lay it down here, it's got a little bit tighter radius than this corner, which is okay, because I can work this edge, I can rotate my tool or the part, and I can work this edge, right? But I can get it up in that corner and really get this shape working. So let me start cleaning this up a little bit more. Let me cut me a little bit of panels here that I can get started with, fire up some hammers, some torches, have a little fun.
Okay, we're back at the old Fender. Got to get this guy off. So we had some 75-plus-year-old bolts here on the running board. We got those cut away, a couple bolts behind the Fender. Now we're going to attack these spot welds that they use to hold this guy under the bed. Now the key here is not to damage the bed of this truck. It's all original. He wants to keep the owner wants to keep this thing in best shape possible. So I'm going to try to lean this guy out a little bit and get these spot welds here in the corner. Well, let's hope this works. All right. All right. So there's the old guy backing out. right. Some creative grinding there, but anything to preserve the bed. So when we get back, see we got one little brace here we have to unhook. We'll get on that other fender and see how our boy Kev's doing with that one. Whew.
It can be very difficult to diagnose an overheating problem. So when you get stuck on the side of the road, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Before you take off the radiator cap, make sure you squeeze the top of the radiator hose to see how much pressure is built up. You're also probably low on coolant, so use a 50-50 mix of antifreeze instead of plain water. This way you'll have a higher boiling point, so the next time your car may not overheat as fast. The overheating might be caused by a leak in your cooling system. One way to fix that is by picking up a bottle of radiator stop leak, like this one from Bars Leaks. You don't have to flush out the system, just pour Bars Leaks into the radiator, and in a few minutes, the leak is sealed. As a bonus, the extreme cool lowers the water temperature and will stop the overheating in the future. This tip is brought to you by Bars Leaks, affordable solutions to expensive automotive repair.
All right, welcome back. Now we've got our truck fender on our 38 Ford pickup truck, and what we're doing is we're reworking this corner. Now this one's gonna be kind of a bear because it's got a lot of curvature, but it's crashing into each other into this corner. So what we did is split the work up. I've got two pieces here. One's gonna sit up top, one's gonna come from the bottom, and I'm gonna work it halfway. So I'm gonna put half the curvature on this part, half of it in this part, then I'm gonna marry them up by welding them, and then work it into my piece. Now there's a couple of ways to get this curvature started. The T-dolly is a great workpiece. Slap it into your bench vise, and you can just start pounding on it. Now I can use a slapper, which is basically a big sort of flat piece of steel. I can use a hammer, but doing a lot of working, you tend to get some pop marks from the edges of the hammer. So sometimes it's nice just to use plastic nylon hammer like this to start working it. Now before I do it, I'm gonna make myself a little guideline with a Sharpie. And that's just gonna sit here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I can eyeball this line with the top of my dolly, and it just gives me a good, even sort of follow through with my bend around that part. So let me throw this guy up here, and what I'll do, so kind of eyeball it on there, get it fairly straight. I'm going to hit this first edge because that's going to give me the most leverage to bend the metal. All right. Then I come through here, hit it like that. Now I've got something hooked onto there. I can eyeball my line with my dolly, make another move, and start working it towards that corner. Well, I can come back. You can see you're going to have a little bit of waves in there still. So I can come back in here, hammer a lot of those out, and if sometimes you put a little sliding motion with your hammer, it just helps so you don't have all these dings, right? You can kind of work them, smooth them out. So what I'm going to do is start coming back from the other side, and once I've bunched it up, maybe I can work a little bit on the corner here, but after that, I'm going to have to switch over to my die, probably put some heat to it to get it to shrink that metal and work that corner. All right, I'm working this corner, but as kind of predicted, it's starting to bunch up here. So I've got extra metal. I need to squeeze some of those molecules together. Now the easiest way to do that is to put the fire to it. Now we're gonna get Willie over here, grab this torch and give me a hand. Now how's that truck look now that you got that fender off?
I got the fender off. It looks great. The bed looks awesome.
Well, that's gonna save us a lot of work. Yeah. Now we're just gonna put some heat kind of right in the area where we wanna shrink those molecules and try to avoid anywhere else because it's just unnecessary. Now how about kind of right in that zone a little bit. There we go. Just get it nice and cherry. That's good. And you can see once it's hot, boy, it moves pretty quickly. So a great little tool, you don't need a lot. Poof. Couple little spots you can work on, then you can hammer it out, you can metal finish it. So I'll work this one a little bit more, I'll flip over, do that other half, kind of start marrying them together.
In the meantime, how about me and you go over and check out this 38 truck? All right, let's show you some really unique, cool features about this 38 truck. First, you know it's either a 38 or a 39 by this big barrel grill. Kind of cool, right? Now, in the early to mid 30-year-old Fords, this company called Stromberg, with carburetors you see right here, would be the manufacturer. Now, in 1938, a company called Chandler Grove made them for only 1 year. And really, according to who you ask, there's different stories about why Holley took over the building of the carburetor in 39. I hear it's just because of the sheer volume that Ford needed. So, different kind of carb for 38, a 1 year off, Chandler Grove. And then after 39, it was done by Holley. Another really cool feature they have on this is if you look in this motor, you'll notice this is a 21 stud flathead. Now in 1938, it was a kind of a conversion year because in 37, Ford would wait until they got done manufacturing all the 21 studs. So if they had any blocks left over, they would just continue using them throughout the 38. So we know this was an early year purchase 38 Ford truck. Something else that's really cool. Check this out. Now this is the old badging on the side panel. It says Ford 85. Take a guess what the 85 is. Got it? No, it stands for horsepower, 85 horsepower. It's kind of cool, right?
All right, well, I got my other half made. And what I did is, I left it long so I got room to trim. And you can trim it with snips, but you might get a little bit too much in the danger zone, or a cutoff wheel, or even a grinder. What I'm going to do is then work them a little bit tighter with the grinder till there's no gap. These will fit nice and tight. Maybe I'll get Willie over here to give me a hand, throw a couple tacks on it, run my stringers. Yeah, this is where it helps to have some friends. We've got both shells here, and Willie's brave. He trusts me, and he's going without gloves on the first tack so we can get a nice feel, try to balance out the edges, and get this thing locked in a good spot so we can continue to weld and work it all in one. Now, I'll let you decide when you feel good.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mom.
Okay. You good?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. It's gonna get hot. All right.
Sweet.
Now this is great. Thanks, Willie, man. That was awesome. Now what we did is we kind of locked this corner in where we like it, because this has the most strength. It's got the most curvature in it. All that steel in there. And we got one edge, right? And all we got to do is get it at least tacked so that both planes are together. It could be like this, it could be like this. That's okay, because I can hammer and dolly that into the curvature and the shape exactly the way I want. So I'll probably work this edge a little bit, put a couple more tacks, then come over here, and you can see I've got a little high point. No big deal. I can tap that down, I can tap it up, run a couple more tacks this way, and I can do a little bit of hammer and dolly work before I really string the heat in there. So I'll keep going with it. Thanks, bro.
No problem. Kids, wear gloves.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna wrap up this part here. All right, this thing is coming along really sweet. Now I seamed it with a TIG welder right along the entire, two halves of the part. And I've metal finished this one. I've actually gone back and hit it with the DA just to make it look pretty. Now if you want to do some really fancy metal work, you want to stick with like a 50 grit versus a 36 grit. But if you're going to go to high build primer and paint, 36 will rip it just as good, maybe faster. And the nice thing about splitting it right through the center is I've got a lot of strength in that curvature. So even though I put a lot of heat into it, the part hasn't moved at all, which is great. The other thing that's nice about seaming it right along the top of that radius is that weld kind of sits up there near the top, so it's exposed and it's real easy to grind off versus being on flat where you're kind of hitting a lot of the surface area trying to get to that weld bead. So a really cool way, it's coming along pretty nicely.
All right, got a little more work to do here. It's just over on a 3-pin row on the English wheel, because if you look at this thing, it's got a lot of bends going on in it, compound bend actually. You have this radius that you're dealing with here. I got that on the 3-pin roller. I took it over because you got to stretch, you got this bend going on here too. So I'm close. I need to go over to the English wheel, stretch her out a little bit more. I'll scribe it, we'll cut that out, so we'll get it exactly right up here, butt weld it, and hopefully smooth that over where you never know it was there.
Before you know it, we're gonna have a nice new looking Fender.
Yeah.
Now to get this up here inscribed so I can cut it out, I really need to move some of this material out of my way. It's all kind of garbly gooked, so I can't really get that up there. So I'm just gonna kind of do a rough trace, and I'll set that up by eyeball, kind of, you know, scribe it along. Then I can come back with my cutoff wheel, you know, maybe come back somewhere in here, cut that out, slide my piece up, and then I can put a hard scribe on there and know that that thing will fit like a glove.
Nice.
Cool, man. This thing is starting to look pretty nice.
Ooh, indeed.
Now we're gonna be a lot more careful on this flat section, because putting heat on it, it's gonna warp it pretty fast. But what you can do is just make sure you work the metal as you're heating it. So periodically you throw a few tacks, you throw a few stringers, come back on, and just make sure that as you work it, you keep it in control so it never gets out of whack and you never lose it, because trying to work a whole panel that's gone wonky is really tough.
Yeah, man.
All right, we're gonna finish this up. We'll keep working on this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got a couple more tacks to lay in here.
We're gonna take a break. Stick around. Hey, welcome back to the parts room. Oh, first up, it's an Agm Battery from Federated Auto Parts.
Right, absorbed glass mat technology. It's basically like sponges in between these plates that hang it up, so it gets compressed, and it's literally maintenance free. You can hang these things anyway, they won't leak, and absorb all the vibration you could throw at it.
That's right, because normally you got plates hanging down in there, making, you know, making your little voltage cells, right? But vibrations and shaking, you know, can knock those off and fatigue them. They can flake off. You can get shorts on the bottom as all that material kind of settles to the bottom. But by compacting it, by giving it a nice surround with the glass, the thing is vibration free. And like you said, it's sealed. You can put it anywhere. It's great for auto sports.
Yeah.
And it's great for all the electronics you got in cars today.
Right, double the electronics of what you had just a decade or so ago. And they come in a couple sizes. So whether it's race car, boats, ATVs, or whatever, you can find an application that fits your needs.
That's right, so twice the cycle life, you know, for all the electronics you have, the durability, the sealability, it's great. The Agm batteries from Federated, check them out.
Yeah. All right, next up, how much time have we wasted hunting for separate sockets? Hey, hand me the 5/8. Where's that? Where's that? Well, Gorilla Tools does this Find It socket labeling system. Really cool. Red for metric, black and white for standard.
Doesn't get any easier than that.
Yeah, right?
Nice big sizes so you can see them. You're not trying to read those little engravings. You can put them on straight just like that. They're not, you know, they're oil resistant, permanent, or you can put them on crooked like Willie does.
Yes, again, metric, standard, makes finding your sockets easy. It's from Gorilla Tools, the Find It socket labeling system.
And next up from LMC Truck, it is not a ray gun. And it is not a futuristic virus inoculator.
No, it's a remote keyless entry. And it's a universal kit, so you can put it on your 1950 truck, your 1980 truck. Kind of cool stuff from LMC.
Even your car, amazing.
Yeah.
You got 2-door versions like this kit. You can do 4-door versions. And what's cool is, beep, beep, it's raining out. Slide right in and shut the door, you know?
Go hunt for the keys, where to leave them.
Or just look cool when you got an old classic something or other, and bang, a little bit of modern, you know, electronics on it.
Exactly.
Well, LMC Trucks got everything, mid-40s and up for, you know, your Chevys, your GMCs, your Fords, and your 90s and up on your Dodges.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to modernize their vehicle with a little remote access, keyless entry? Gotta love that.
And anything else you can think of, from grills, side mirrors, you name it, all the truck business right there at LMC Truck. Get your free catalog. All right, next up, 1001 uses. It's fluid film. Now, this is a great penetrant and lubricant, so you can put it on just about anything that needs rust protection, anti-squeaking, you know, anti-wearing, you know, slipperiness.
Yeah, the good thing is it doesn't have any solvents in it, so it won't get all gummy and hold on to a bunch of dirt and so forth. It won't evaporate either. In some applications, this lasts up to 3 years. So garage door springs, hinges, stuff like that.
Well, what's great is it's a rust preventative. It'll stop the rust. So put your car up on jack stands, put it on the lift. You know, once a year, get under there. Anything that looks like it's starting to rust, bolts, you know, whether it's your brake cables, for your, you know, your emergency brakes, just go in and give them a little squirt, wet it down a little bit. It'll protect it for up to a year. Come back next year, give it another little squirt. You'll be amazed at how much longer your car is going to stay together by just a little bit of squirt here and there, and then all the 1001 things you could do with it, like put it on your snow blower so the snow flies out. It doesn't rust.
Says it won't freeze either. It's fluid film. It's powerful rust and corrosion protection.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit TwoGuysGarage.com.
You know, contamination of a vehicle's fuel system is a huge problem. Most of us think if we change our fuel pump, we're good. Not necessarily the case. There are so many other things going on in your fuel system and the delivery system that can cause corrosiveness and cause all kinds of issues in your car. Let's take a look at a couple of them. If you just cut open this dissection of a little fuel cell, you'll see all the deposits and sediment from just bad gas and bad fuel. Let alone the filler neck, even the straps, all can lead to corrosive and bad stuff. Premature failure of your fuel pump, even an evaporative leak somewhere in the fuel cell itself, then cause you to fail an emissions test. Well, our friends at Spectra Premium have come up with a pretty foolproof system, from the wiring harness for any applicable application to the fuel neck, to the fuel cell itself, and the straps, all built and defend against corrosion. So when you think about fuel system and fuel system management, think Spectra Premium. Always available at Federated Auto Parts.
Willie, your English wheel is looking pretty sweet, man. This is looking good.
Loving the patch panel down here, bud.
Yeah, this is fully metal finished. Well, rolled on the insides and trimmed so it just curls around like the rest of the fender.
You know, by the time we get this thing finished, the patina look he's got on the truck, this is gonna be the nicest piece on the whole vehicle.
I don't know, it might look too good, so we better be careful.
Yeah.
We got a little bit left to finish up here.
Yeah.
A couple little spots left. We'll throw a little bit of paint on it to match the rest of the truck, but you know what?
Yeah, we're gonna be putting in some overtime hours. We're out of time right now. We'll see you guys in a week.
You guys.